What's up, YouTube? We back with another review. Today we're going to be reviewing Frieren, The Journey's End, episode 6. Let's get it. As we get into the episode, we go back to Frieren and Stark. After training hard, Stark would leave a humongous gap inside the cannon from his attack. Frieren would acknowledge this and see it up close and say, "So it was you who did this?" And she would ask him, "You don't even intend to fight the dragon. Why you keep training?" Stark would then give her the lore. He would say, "Before I came to this village, everybody was scared. They feared the dragon." He asked, "But when I arrived, those faces turned to smiles and comfort." And he basically says that they all acknowledged me as a hero, but for nothing. I didn't even do anything. The dragon left on its own. It wasn't because of me. Suddenly, Frieren would ask him, "So if the dragon attacked the village, what you gonna do?" Stark says, "I don't want to die, but I will fight it. I will protect this village." He then waits a while and says, "On second hand, maybe I'll just run." Frieren would then cope with him. She would grab his hand and tell him, "Hey, I believe you won't run." Stark says, "Huh? You don't even know me." Frieren says, "Yeah, I don't." She would then tell him a story on how she fought her first monster. She was scared, but after gaining enough courage, she would defeat the monster. And to me, she told this story so that they could relate. And not only that, give him confidence. She tells him, "Hey, I believe you're a coward, but I believe that your courage and your bravery to protect this village is real." After the powerful scene, we move along. The next day comes, and they're ready to fight the dragon. Frieren and Frieren are like, "Man, this scaredy cat ain't even gonna come." But after a while, Stark would arrive. He would ask Frieren, "So you need me to distract it for 30 seconds, huh?" She'd say yes. And after taking his orders, he would say, "I only ask for one thing, is that if I die in battle, you defeat the dragon." These would be his final words. Soon after, the next scene would have all of them fighting against the dragon. The battle's on. And as Stark's looking down at the dragon, his hands start to tremble. He's afraid. Frieren looks at him and says, "Wait, you do the same thing as Aizen." And suddenly the anime goes into a flashback of Frieren and Aizen in battle fighting a ferocious monster. And just like she said, Aizen would be trembling. He would be shaking. She would say, "Wait, you scared?" He would say, "Yeah, it's okay to be scared. It's gotten me to where I'm at." I believe this scene showcases that Frieren believes that him and Aizen share the same resolve or bravery. And so after the flashback, we go back to the scene of them fighting the dragon. The camera pans to Stark, and as he walks toward the dragon, he says, "Yeah, that's right, my master was scared too. I can do this." And as Frieren and Frieren are spectating, Frieren says, "Wait, but it's not attacking." Frieren says, "Yeah, just like I thought. It's being cautious. It knows how powerful its opponent is." She also adds that the dragon is a smart creature. All this time, it hasn't been attacking the village because it knows how powerful Stark is. Soon after, the anime would pan to Stark and the dragon having their ferocious battle. As the battle intensifies, suddenly Frieren goes into another flashback of her and Aizen. The anime would give us the reason why Aizen struck Stark in his head. He tells Frieren that he wasn't disappointed or mad at him, he just was scared of him, and he only hit him out of his own reflexes. He would also add, me hitting him is also the reason why Stark left in anger. After telling Frieren this lore, Aizen ends by saying he's going to be a ferocious warrior. Suddenly, anime cutbacks to him fighting the dragon, and after fending off the dragon's attacks, he would actually defeat it. And after defeat, Frieren tells him, "Thank you, you did great." Afterwards, Frieren would go through the dragon's nest and look for treasure she can use for future spells. While she's doing this, Stark says, "Wait, you like this trash?" Frieren says, "Trash, this is treasure." And as she's going through it, Stark says, "Yeah, Master was right about you. You are ridiculous." Suddenly, the anime goes into a flashback. It's of Frieren and her comrades. And as they're on their journey, Frieren would come across a spell that makes shaved ice. Aizen would tell Himmel, "Had a tough fight with the Demon King. It's a tough road ahead of us. We don't even know if we'll make it back alive. Should we really be doing things like this?" Himmel says, "Bro, chill. I'd rather have a ridiculously and fun adventure way more than a painful and boring one." Suddenly the flashback ends, and this will correlate to what happens next, because Stark would join their crew and say, "I want to have a ridiculous journey too." Soon after, we go to the next scene. Stark, Frieren, and Frieren would end up at a castle, but unfortunately it's been closed and they can't get through. With that said, Frieren looks to study magic, and she says she'll get them an in. She says, "Y'all have free time, y'all go do what y'all want." Stark tells Frieren, "Yo, let's go get something to eat." She looks at him with a crazy face and said, "Man, please." After getting rejected, he would end up at a restaurant eating ice cream. And while Fern was walking, she overheard some villagers, and they would be talking about sea routes being shut down and the checkpoint being closed for 2 more years. And after hearing this, Fern would rush to go see Stark. And after telling him all the news, he says he can't wait 2 more years. And so their next mission is to try to get over this wall of the checkpoint where they're at. And after searching high and low through different merchants, they would fail at finding something that could help them get over the checkpoint. And while they're at a standstill, Frieren tells Stark she's surprised that he's actually obeying her. And after hiding it, he finally tells Frieren why he's so desperate in trying to get past his checkpoint. He says that he's doing it for his master, Eisen. He explains that he want to go on a ridiculous adventure with them so that he can tell his master all about it. After he tells Frieren his ultimate goal, we get to the final scene. As Frieren casually walking, she runs into Frieren, but surprisingly she's hiding. Fern's like, wait, what are you doing? She would tell Frieren that she's being followed by the night guard of the town. And before they know it, the night guard would show up. But surprisingly, they don't get in trouble. They actually kneel down to show respect to Frieren. And as they apologize, Frieren's like, hey, that's okay, you was just doing your job. And as we continue, the castellan of the town would come and approach Frieren and say, I'm sorry for this happening to you. And after he praises Frieren for her being a hero, he would kindly give them access to get past this checkpoint and head towards the north. And as the town celebrates them leaving, they head to the northern land. And that's the end.